Well, hello, hello, hello. And in fact, it is Rouser Radio. No, it's not. We just had Rouser Radio. It is Mirador Television, broadcasting from the White Hart in Lewes. Oh, there we are. We got there in the end. We'll leave a little space over here because we are expecting a couple of guests throughout the morning. And hopefully we've got room for them and we'll be able to chat to them. Mirador Television. It's I was going to say 9 o'clock. It is 8:32 on the 19th day of May in 2022. A very difficult year, not an auspicious year at all, and it isn't going to get any better by the look of things, or at least not immediately. And I have to say that that the infighting at the top over the way that we will handle galloping inflation, a rise sharp cost of living rate, unstoppable immigration situation. You name it, we've got it to deal with. And as a consequence, you can see the authorities have a great deal on their plates. And this has led to some considerable criticism, particularly of the Bank of England, where the bank has sort of said, it shrugged its shoulders and sort of said, well, not much to do with us, Gov, all these things, influences from overseas and so on and so forth. And we can't do much about it. Well, it's their job to do something about it. It's their job to try and cap inflation. It's their job to keep the economy humming along. It's their job to try and bolster the situation. Now we've got some anomalies. We have almost full employment. Never have jobs been so full in almost 20 or 30 years. And yet it's said that this will stoke inflation. Stoke inflation. We have a reasonably buoyant economy, but the bank has led the way in saying that it can, or its workers can work 4 days of the week from home. Now, the critics have said, and quite rightly so in my view, is how can you shrug your shoulders and say, terribly sorry, we can't do anything about the situation, which is our duty and our job to try to cap and give everybody what to all intents and purposes is 4 days off. Sorry, working from home does not work. All sorts of excuses are made about press 3, press 4, press 5. Your call will be answered. We value your call. Your call will be answered in 2 hours' time. Just hang on for 2 hours. It's crazy. And it's because not enough people are on the premises to make the system work properly. But that's okay. No, we give people the time off. How daft can you be? How very daft can you be? Daft. Anyway, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to start the morning off with a nice gentle way, with the way that we like to have when we take our breaks. We pack our little sandwich bag and then we go down to Grange Park because it's so lovely down there. So let's assume that we have packed our little breakfast bag this morning, and we will start off this day by going down to Grange Park and settling ourselves nicely before we get into the turmoil and the upsets and the demands and the challenges of this day, Thursday, the 19th of May, 2022. So here we are in the White Hart. I just had a lovely man who was from Lewes and went to Lewes Grammar School. And when we packed up broadcasting yesterday, just before a group of men came in. I don't think that they would mind us saying they were elderly men, and they had arranged for a dozen or so of them to have a get together after 50 years to see how they were all getting on. And here they were in the White Hart, all old school chums, having a drink together. We asked if we could chat to them, but by that time, unfortunately, we were ready to go off the air, and it just wasn't propitious. But the gentleman came this morning and certainly had a very interesting chat to me. That he was just preparing to leave to go back to Germany, where he now lives with his wife and his children, and a very interesting chap he was. And it would have been nice to have got him, if I could have persuaded him to stay. But the taxi was booked to take him to the train station, and he is going all the way back to his small town in Germany by train. He's leaving here by train. He's going to catch the Eurostar, take him to Brussels, go from Brussels into one of the German centers, and from there a local train home to his expectant family, people who are going to welcome him with open arms. I think it's absolutely terrific, and the fact that they all got together is in itself quite remarkable, because in post-lockdown, we have not had great displays of adventure. Oh, we've had displays of let's have a concert here and let's have a, and the so-called celebrities have been strutting their stuff, strutting the stage, making it look as if it's exciting. It's not really. I mean, what they do is they put on a show, and they put on a decent show. No arguing about a show. It's just the value that we put on it as a society, because we're out of we're out of oohs and ahs. We've been hit by COVID, by lockdown, and most of us want to sit on our big fat backsides at home and not go to work. And it's very sad. And it's easier to say, look how we're celebrating by having the professionals put on concerts and to strut their stuff, and therefore make headlines like this nonsensical thing between, one is Johnny Depp and his wife, but two is the Vardy and Rooney thing, where footballers' wives have sent what millions send every day is emails that are a bit naughty. And what do? They end up in court. And the thing gets really nasty and vicious. And then yesterday, the footballers themselves stepped in. Vardy said, I mentioned something to Wayne Rooney, and he took it the wrong way. And Rooney says, I don't remember that. Never, it's not crossed my conscience. So wham bam, there we go. We've got the whole thing stoked up again. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, we'd better start to take a look at the newspaper headlines, hadn't we? Yes, we had, is the response to that. Yes, we had. Okay. Hopes for a windfall tax blocked by the number 10 team. Now, this is in the Times, and it seems to me to be rather sad that the supporters and the advisors to the Prime Minister are saying, no, you mustn't do this. And the reason that is given is that ideologically it is not a conservative concept. Taxing and giving away is not a conservative concept. But, who cares what concept it is if it's going to relieve the misery that we're all undergoing, and it's going to get worse rather than get better, with an economy under attack, why not take the opportunity to do something to alleviate it, which can be done just once in a blue moon. And basically, the suggestion is that a windfall tax is imposed upon the profits that the energy companies have made in the last little while. Surge in prices, the oil crisis, energy crisis, gas crisis, because of the war in Ukraine, and supplies not coming down the pipeline because of embargoes. The slowdown of the economy, because we are now on our own with Brexit. But generally speaking, the economic activity has slowed down, and that's all having a bad effect. The war has prodded inflationary tendencies So we're facing 9% inflation after 20 years of nothing more than less than 1%. And nobody knows what the hell to do about it because it's so unusual. Something we haven't experienced in the last little while. Huh. Anyway, the Times says that a suggestion that this surge in profits from the energy companies should be taxed, just a one-time tax, nothing ongoing, just a one-time tax, and that the money be distributed or put back into the economy one way or another to try and ease the situation as we see it. There are those in the Cabinet Office advising the Prime Minister, saying, "Don't do it, Boris. Don't do it, my dear chap, because it is a very unconservative thing to do." What nonsense is that? Really nonsense, if the report is true. But whatever, the windfall tax idea was gaining legs. More and more people began to think, what an excellent way to redistribute some of the monies that will be brought in by taxation from the energy sector. No, we can't have that. Oh, we can't have that. The Daily Express, it's impossible that pensioners can't cope with 9% inflation. The Express is saying, listen, it's impossible as a statement. Pensioners can't cope with 9% inflation. That's how it should read. And it's so true. And it's the pensioners, the older age group, is going to get whammed the worst. So the Express is saying the government had better come up with something that's acceptable to everybody, and pretty damn quickly. The Guardian, police chief warns of surge in crime as the cost of living crisis fuels poverty. I'm always very careful about this word poverty. I think what we've got is a loss of the standard of living. Standard of our lifestyle, the amount of money that we're going to have in our pockets, and that is going to hit some people quite badly. But I am a little leery of the word poverty. But nonetheless, there is going to be a range of people who going from the very wealthy down to those who are on the breadline. And it's people on the breadline that are going to get hit the worst. And I think that what they're saying is that it is that inflation for that will hit in the pay packet, if you want to put it that way, for the very poor will be actually in the region of about 11%, not 9%, as we've been previously suggested, but also that those people who can best afford it will only see something like 7.5% inflation. So the Daily Express is calling upon the government to try and level the playing field to some extent. The trouble with a lot of these things is that tampering with the markets is not the easiest thing to do. I can remember, because the markets have a life of their own. I mean, you can tax, you can take money away, etc., etc., but it doesn't really affect the markets in the first instance. With a great punch at the start. It's later on that it starts to kick in. But one of the things that we have to watch out for is that we urge our politicians not to get bogged down in silly arguments about whether Boris had icing on his cake at Christmas time. Or whether Keir Starmer went and had a curry in a constituency headquarters during a run-up to a by-election. It's crazy. It's crazy indeed, because it's going to, if we keep on like that, it's going to steer us into deep water and thick sedge. Right, all right. Let's just take we'll take a little break there, and Jane Watkins did a nice little piece. I assume it's nice because I haven't actually seen it, but I'd like to. And we've given it the title just Scarf. So that's how she got on with it.
It's been occupying the evenings by knitting a scarf. This is the right side. I quite like doing random colours, random ideas, but the thing is, as you can see, it just seems to want to curl at the edges, which isn't going to mean much use. So what I've decided to do is put some fabric on the other side and to make it more substantial. So I just got to pin it down and then literally sew it on the machine. Hopefully that won't take me too long. Right, so I've sewn down each side now on the sewing machine, and obviously that's pulled out the scarf, made it a bit straighter. So now all I have to do is cut off this spare fabric I've got along the side and then turn it inside out. Right, so that's the spare fabric from the edge. I've cut it all off now. I've just turned it over to make sure that it's all okay this side and the machine's got all the fabric. Now I'm going to turn it inside out. So here it is. I've turned it inside out, and now you'll be able to wear it either the woolly knitted side around your neck or the fabric side. It's kind of fun, isn't it? Something you need today because it's very cold. That's the outside. Oh, quite pleased with that. It's all cosy. And here's a couple more that I've made. These are actually all wool or cashmere mix, which I've got. I bought some bundles of fabric from a factory in Scotland. They're lovely and warm.
So there we are. Jane at work by the fireside during lockdown, and nice little hints and tips from somebody who knows what they're doing. I most certainly couldn't do that sort of thing at all. Not at all, at all, at all. So Jane has spent some of lockdown, including, I think, chatting to Donald Trump at one stage. That her work can be seen with us, and that we will actually start to have that work on sale with any luck, and you can buy a bit of lockdown history. Don't be careful that you don't actually try to nick the scouts, for instance, who have a pretty healthy and robust next generation around them. I don't want to say that we're potatoes is nice potatoes, but if we actually spend a little bit more time with them in the oven, they'll be roast potatoes, and then it can be changed even again. So we have to be very careful about that. But generally speaking, we've got a little something to do, and a little something that will be useful, I'm happy to say. Okie dokie. Let us now see the Daily Mirror. The Daily Mirror has got what is called the Great Inflation Swindle, and what it's reporting is that Jane retooling for her endeavors needs to know what the situation is in the town for coming in with your paper, which is your paper money, which is subject to inflation, or your coinage, which is well, with Aretha Franklin really turning on the heat last night. Then there is a great deal of thought and ability in your house, which you actually refused to subscribe to yesterday. Left me feeling a little bit sensitive, but that's okay. I'm the one they take pot shots at. So we got a nice couple of stories out of that, and the next paper is the Telegraph. Putin turns the screw on alcohol and food celebrations supplies, and there is some worry that we'll start to run out of supplies, particularly since the situation in northeastern Ukraine is very similar to the one in Germany in the closing stages of the Second World War. Is that the place is it can do with seeing you. But there we are. We haven't got you anymore. All right. Let's take a look at what we've got. And I didn't mean to do that. It's so easy when you've got your mind on 10 different things. But we were looking for something to share with the Kate's good work, and I don't know whether we're really going to find it at this stage. It's later in the day that things start to indulge. However, the Telegraph comes to my rescue because it shows a picture of Kate strapped in and standing next door to a Coldstream Guardsman who's looking very handsome and would do on any occasion. So the idea to people like our people is in Westminster and trying to make a difference, our journalists, in other words. What they're basically saying is as Putin turns the screw on global food suppliers, is that here are people willing to fight back, and that in some ways they are showing as much versatility as the forces have. The trouble is that neither is showing a great deal of alarm. There is nothing coming from the attic. There is nothing coming from number 2. Let's see, is it not number 2? Yes, I think it's number 2. But anyway, those people who don't know is we're pretty well identified as having good transport links, whether that's soldiers, sailors, fighter pilots, you name it. It also means that all of us have got to start to look after ourselves. All of us. And not just wait for mom or dad or for society to keep us going. Let's see, the eye. Now, the eye takes a different tack. The lady has made an accusation that she was raped in Parliament, and the eye has taken up the instance and is helping us find the bits and pieces needed to bring a successful prosecution. Ray or whoever happens to be on deck, we do need to ignore, to some extent, the challenges, if you like, the accusations, the analysis of many stories that we do in Lewis, that Mirador Television can pick up, to offset either boredom or whatever. And already a phenomenal amount of clothes have been sent. But also in those founding states, if you like, yeah. States, easier to say. Let's say there were 15 people, and if you want to put some on, I'm quite sure everybody would be happy. Young man? No? Right, he's in here. Right, okay. MPs block inquiry into alleged rape. Yes, that was the headline. Is that for some reason, quite often Parliament will break with ordinary common law and to serve its own interests. And here it looks as if it's saying, well, we know that a lot of sexual activity, some of it unpleasant and not nice, goes on. And here is my friend. Here he is. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
All right. Yeah.
Not too bad, thank you.
We've got a pot of coffee on the go.
well, it's cold now, but
It smells nice.
But I'm doing a little radio thing now at 7:30 in the morning, so I'm going quite a long time. But it's all worthwhile. We're getting some interesting people in, including yourself, of course, and we've had some good chats the last. Well, this week it's not been bad at all. But here you are, and I've been waiting for you to get here because basically, let's just take one headline to get us started off. Yardies to flee the UK. What do you make of this public fight in court of the two footballers and their wives?
I don't care. I think airing it. What was it my mum used to say? You don't air your dirty linen in public. It's awful. Why is it on the news? And why? Why is it in our interest?
Exactly.
Because it's clickbait. It's Instagram feed. It's all that stuff. Social media, which then, of course, clickbait. Here we go. Is then advertisers, it's algorithms, it's data, it's interest, it's profiling. So it's all linked to that, isn't it? So it's all very convenient because someone will be making money.
Oh, you can bet. You can bet your bottom dollar on that.
I don't give a shit. And people are using food banks. Use my famous line. And they've got how much money and how much is this costing, etc., etc. And meanwhile, the majority of us are going, oh, right, well, I can't really do a roasted. I can buy some chicken and some veg that's cheap, but actually it's going to cost me more than that to put the oven on. So it's quite insulting. Really.
Yeah.
Tacky. Even though Wayne Rooney is looking pretty sexy these days with his hair transplant. But apart from that, the hags they're all married to, it's grim. I've locked them all in a conservatory. I'll stop there, actually. Yeah.
Tell us about the conservatory. Because I know that you've been, you've been gently building this conservatory, haven't you?
Well, to put everybody in it and then set fire to it. Watch them all burn. It's terrible. But I just can't bear it. I just think it's so insulting, isn't it? Where majority, not the majority, exactly makes no difference, majority or not, is it? But we're all worried about things, aren't we? About real things, about how we pay the bills, about how we survive, how we look after our mental health, how we get up in the morning, how we cope, how we look after our friends. I had some. I'm going to go a bit dark here a minute, but last week was Mental Health Awareness Week, which you see trailers for and stuff like that. But I knew of one suicide personally. I knew of basically attempted suicide and thoughts of suicide from somebody, and then there was somebody who was linked, whose daughter unfortunately hung herself, 16, and then on Saturday. So that's all quite grim. So what's going on at the moment? Stuff's going on, isn't it? This stuff is real. Yeah. So there's 3 people that have been closely connected to me within my circle, and then. Little Ollie, bless him, on Saturday went up to Camden with his friends and stuff to see a gig or whatever young people do, I think. And anyway, on his way back, bless him, across Waterloo, Hungerford Bridge, next to going to Waterloo Station, a young lad was sort of jumping up on the bridge to jump off. Anyway, because Ollie went up to him, bless him, and was like, "Are you okay? You okay? Let's chat," and engaged in conversation with him and gave Ollie his number and talked him down and stuff. I was like 22.
And he saved him.
And they, So,
oh, gosh,
isn't that cute?
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So
that's
wonderful.
You think, God, bloom now. So that's 4. That's actual 2 actual suicides. One attempted, and then another attempted. Ollie sort of managed to talk down off the bridge. So that stuff is real. I don't want to get down and dark and all this, but all this other stuff about that and Instagram and these people would, I don't know, talking bad about people, because I don't listen to the news and things like this. I'm not aware. I just see it on the Channel 4 headlines, but that's the reality, isn't it? Not Colleen Nolan or whatever they're wanging on about. Who cares?
Exactly. I mean, so many things also have dropped out of the headline. For instance, it was only a few days ago that we were all worried about people coming in once again across the channel that the immigration figures were unsustainable, and so on and so forth. And suddenly, what we are is filled with the silly things of the pressures that are impacting on everyday
100%,
life. Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
It's like, we came second in the Eurovision Song Contest. So I watched it. I went. You heard of Gregory Porter? I put him on the shop sometimes. He's a sort of jazz singer, American guy, and he was playing at the Brighton Centre on Saturday. So we bought our tickets like in 2019. It was great. And afterwards we popped to our local and they were showing Eurovision. Of course, it was all the votes were coming in, and I got quite, I don't want to say patriotic, but I got quite touched actually because so many people were coming and voting in the Ukraine. Ukraine obviously won the Eurovision, but people were voting 12 points here, 12 points there. And I thought, and I said, to my laugh, we're always the first one to buy around, aren't we?
Yes.
So obviously Europe has seen us as taking the lead with supporting Ukraine, because when it all kicked off, we were the first ones to stand up and go, oi, hang on a minute. Right, what can we do? As always. So I think that's great. And the fact, that, because like I always say, we need something collective, don't we? So I felt very proud of, it sounds really pretentious, but the world in that sense on Saturday. Everyone's
the way that the people are responding.
Everyone's going, Ukraine, that's grim, that's horrific. So everyone was going, we're supporting Ukraine and all this. So I found that quite moving actually, that everyone's in it together. But it doesn't seem like, as always, doesn't it? It doesn't seem to be any part of what we hear on the news, the governments, the world leaders. It seems to be them. It stops them, doesn't it? The banks, everybody else are up there. Meanwhile, all us lot, day to day, are getting on with it.
Yeah. Well, they do live in a bubble. There's no question. But by the same token, when we think in terms of all the good things that are happening and people's goodness of heart, we then actually have to turn around and say, wow. There are some, though, that, for instance, the Bank of England is very much in my sights at the moment, is the bank governor, and who signally, and he's admitted that they've failed to take inflation, the control of inflation onto their books fast enough. But he said because 4 days out of every week, my people can work from home. Now, you and I know we share much the same feeling about working from home, and yet here we've got a key element when it comes to rebuilding our economy and so on and so forth. And it's okay, chaps, work from home, and I think there's quite a lot of anger beginning to build as a result.
Well, it's quite a complex thing, is it, working from home? Obviously, it was when everything stopped with COVID. That kicked into gear, didn't it? So actually, it was like, well, we can get you connected, we'll get you Zoom, I can send you files, you can actually do that, we can speak if you need to. So it was like an emergency thing that kept the wheels turning. And then, of course, when people suddenly realise, okay, I'm not paying overpriced tickets, train tickets, I don't have to leave my house 2.5 hours before I need to be into work. I'm getting home, I don't have to do that commute home. So I'm getting home 8:30, so I'm missing out on my partners and my families and my friends, because it's not just people with kids and things like this. Everyone has a life. Everyone has something they care about or outside of work they need to get back to. So it impacts people on so many different ways, doesn't it? So you can understand the resistance because of the cost and the time, and people are like, especially like today, it's that monotonous thing of getting up. And you think, oh God, I've got to get to the station, I've got to get my coffee, which I'll pay £3 for, I'll probably spill a bit, it'll be too milky, I'm on a packed train, someone's being annoying on their phone. Oh God, an hour all the rough people are getting on at East Croydon and they're all chatting away and winding me up. And then you get to the office, and it might be a bit hot, you're a bit sweaty, you just go, oh God, and then you start your day work. So I get that. However, we're not all, the world doesn't revolve around to suit me. An individual. It's all very nice when it does, but it doesn't. The knock-on effects is businesses and people and all sorts of things. I've got a friend who's an accountant for a theatre company, and he said, people saying, I can't afford childcare now, I can't afford to come into the office, I can't afford to do the thing. And he's like, well, you did it for 15 years when you were here. This is the gig. This is the job.
Yeah.
You know, we need to all have you in here. So because we all need to speak to departments, we need you to come in and reference with that. We need to pull that on. So there's knock-on effects, isn't there, for everybody? So, and plus people's mental health and social thing. I know the stress of the train. I did it for like 20 years, but I think that it seems to be that some businesses are being held to ransom by some people. Well, I don't want to commute. I'm not going to come back to work. I'm going to work from home. I'm not going to do that. And this sounds awful, but like that P&O guy, right? You're all sat then. You'd go, this is the gig. This is the job. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. Then find something in life to make your life work.
Yes,
that's what we'd all have to do.
Yeah,
I did that
we should, but you know, the practicality of that came under examination yesterday.
That's not going to affect the businesses around offices.
Yeah,
carry on.
Yes. Yeah. But did you see that a junior cabinet minister, I think, said, well, it's easy to beat the price of the cost of living. Is what people do is they get a second job, or they work harder at the job that they've got at the moment, which it smacks to me
so
of
offensive.
Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake.
So offensive.
Yeah.
It's, you know, right, okay. So that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, I just decided to come back to barbering. I did that. I'd work in the shop all day, and then I would do home haircuts. On Sunday, I'd go and do my private clients. And you end up working 7 days a week, and you don't have a downtime, a rest time. There's no divide time. People are doing that. That's the gig economy, Deliveroo. My mum did it. She did, you know, she was an estate agent. She had an Avon round, and she did cleaning because we had to pay the bills, you know. Yeah. So people have always done that. It's not a case of people just think they're just sat at home in their pants watching Loose Women. You know, we're doing it. I stay late for extra cuts. I come in early to do extra cuts. You know, on Saturday I was three of us were fully booked all day. But you know, I came in early to do a couple of my regulars and stuff because you've got to make it work. But my God, come the end of a day or a week and you're doing 14, 15, 16, 17 hours a day, you know, ridiculous because you're just working and working and working. And then it's everything else after that. It's admin stuff, getting home. And then it's, you know, thinking, right, okay, well, I haven't had anything hot to eat, actually. I haven't eaten yet today. I need to, you know, where's the downtime? And then you fall asleep on the sofa. You go to bed half an hour later because you've got to get up and do it again. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
We're all doing it.
Absolutely, we are all doing it. I mean, you have just described more or less my day.
Yeah.
You know, people keep on saying, well, you should take it a little easier, Keith. Well, it's all very well.
Oh, lovely.
But this is what, what we do in demands.
Yeah,
exactly.
Don't get too stressed. Take some time off and go, lovely. How do we pay the bill then? How do I then buy more washing powder to wash the stuff?
Oh, yes.
It's crazy.
But I mean, there are people who take a very unrealistic viewpoint. And I actually sometimes think that our MPs, and I don't care which side of the fence that they're on, is they are a group of people that are totally cut off,
disconnected
from the reality. Yeah.
Well, it's and what you seem like, you know, these statements people make, and of course the press ride with it because it's clickbait, hence drawing you in, advertising, etc., etc. So that's what everyone's got to remember. Every time these headlines, it's about clickbait and it's about leading you on to other things, so people can get money from advertising and profiling, etc., etc., etc. So it just reinforces a them and us thing, and that seems to be really a thing of the times. Whereas I think nearly 99% of people I meet and come into contact with every day, you know, we're all pretty similar. So the MPs and the people who make the rules and stuff that we hear about, or the big businesses, etc., they're in one place and we're in the other.
Yes, absolutely.
If they're going up to the moon, or they're, you know, having other. I just think if you can create wealth or financial security through hard work and saving, which is what, you know, I'm trying to just work hard and save and build so I can expand the business, etc., etc. But that's one thing. But if you've got a secure job that's paid, however much they get paid, MPs, I don't know how much they get paid, but let's say even 30 grand, you know, paid into your system. That's holiday pay, that's bank holiday pay, that's sick pay. That's quite a lot. If I get sick and can't work, or when I go off on holiday, like New York in 3 weeks, I don't work, so I don't get paid. So I've got to work harder to then make that happen, you know?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times people take it for granted that, I mean, my lovely husband, bless him, you know, he's a midwife, obviously, for the NHS. So he gets a constant, I mean, my God, he was on call and he didn't get back until 5 o'clock in the morning the other day. So yesterday, so that was crazy. But, you know, he gets a regular wage. He gets obviously taxed quite a lot. And he pays his national insurance, but he'll get sick pay, even though I've only known him off to have 1 day off in 12 years, but sick. But he gets holiday pay. So for him, that's coming in, isn't it? Whereas if you're freelance or in other situations, or you might have a gig economy, delivery driver, anything like that,
you don't.
It's a different thing. We have different securities, don't we? Like adults living in shared houses.
Absolutely.
What's that about? Adults who are working, but
I mean, there are signs of people, two males, for instance, doing things together, where we're not talking about being gay or anything, but just simply doing things together because that's the way that they can actually keep a few bob in their pocket.
Now, I can remember, right? So, my very first long-term relationship, so we're talking, this was back in 1992, but he had a house with a co-worker. They both bought their first place together, like a shared house. You know, they're obviously both single. They weren't together. One was straight, one was gay. But they did it as like housemates. And that's how they got on the property ladder. And I thought, actually, that's such a good idea, isn't it? But, they both had very much their own separate lives. But that was the way they did it for a couple of years. And then they built up some equity and managed to sell it and buy their own place.
Well,
so that's how they do it. So there's almost got to be better ways, better plans where people can sort of do that themselves, help things out, isn't it? Because how are people going to do it,
Well, I mean, in some ways, I think that I would look to the government for initiatives. But since...
Good luck with that.
Exactly, because you and I both suffered through COVID, through lockdown, where we saw money being shoveled into wheelbarrows and but did we get any?
Nothing.
Exactly.
I got a universal credit payment, emergency payment they called, I think, in the beginning, like a month after, of £486, which then I've had to pay back because they've said, oh no, actually, we should have given you that 2 years ago because you're married. So even though I've always paid my own tax and everything all my life, self-employed, the tax bill the year before was £10,000. And so I paid into the system all my life. And then all of a sudden, the one time I claim, because we have no income to pay for my part of the bills and the shopping, because that's it, you see. Yes, we are in a relationship, but just because we're married, but everything's split down the middle. So I still had to come up with £1,200 a month for the joint account for mortgage and bills, still had to buy food. And John, God bless him, because they have still other commitments, haven't they? But John then bought the wine. But, so we still have to pay for things. But of course, that just stopped, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I know that was unprecedented times, I used to say. But I don't want to talk about COVID. But
well, the funny thing is I'm quite pleased that you are, because, the funny thing is a lot of things that are still of great concern get tucked away as if they don't exist. I mean, cancer is one of them, as an example. It is more virulent than ever, having a greater impact on our society than ever. And yet we all get excited about, going abroad and the issue with the customs people and so on and so forth, is we totally forget about the unsung things, if you like, or the things that we sung a lot about for a while and then got tired of, seemingly. I mean, that seems to me something that if you're going to spend a lot of money on educating, re-educating people, that's one of the things that you should do it for. Don't forget those things which have served us so well.
This is the thing, isn't it? Like COVID, so many other things, people weren't going in for checks, were they, and things like this, and stuff, and the rises and things. It's shocking, isn't it? It's be interesting to look back, won't it? I mean, it's a bit scary to think, but how we'll look back at these times, And things with the Queen's Jubilee things happening, isn't it? How much is that costing? That's a couple of weeks' time, isn't it? The bank holiday thing. This is the other thing that people are going, oh yeah, it's another bank holiday, another bank holiday. And you go, well, for you, it's a bank holiday. So, but for self-employed people or other things, it's a bit like, right, okay. And, so, yeah. I don't know.
Now, let's be a bit brighter, because in a couple of weeks' time, we've got a 4-day long weekend, right? Which is when the Queen will actually sort of review the troops. There'll be bonfires and beacons and you name it, all the things for the Jubilee will take place, or at least the focal one. Now, do you think getting involved in that sort of thing will lighten the mood and make people feel better, or do you think it might bring it home to them that we are in the SHIT up to our oxes?
Well, I thought there would be more buzz, more plans by now. I'm opening, so we're not closing because I can't afford to shut for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. There's no way. And the last Easter bank holiday, I opened just for one of my lovely regulars, and then a few other people messaged me. I ended up being fully booked all day. So I've said to the boys, we are going to open. Because last time people are off, but so I thought it'd be more of a buzz because I love the Queen, etc., etc. But I have a real battle with it all, cost of things and the opulence and stuff when other people are so worried about stuff. So all that going on, but it feels like it just sounds terrible. I just thought about watching the Eurovision and feeling patriotic and proud, etc., of us, but not interested. I think, right, why are we going to celebrate all this when actually we just seem to be that the, governments, etc., are all doing that to us. So why all of a sudden are we going to start waving flags?
Yeah.
No?
Well,
go, hang on a minute. There's been sleaze. The money that's paid, and meanwhile some of us are debating whether I can afford to buy, because a chicken I normally buy was £2. It's gone up to £3 from the roast. I put the oven on.
I think that in some ways, what we do with the actual celebrations will be driven by the average person.
Well, the average person who's come in my shop, nobody's planned anything, thought of anything, or interested. That seems to be the thing. There seems to be 3 points. They sort of go, all right, I don't know. Is anything happening? I haven't really heard about anything. I don't know. Are you doing anything? We're not doing anything. To be honest, I'm not really fussed. It feels a bit bad time. Actually, it's a bit bad taste to be doing this at the moment. No, we feel like, I don't know. So that seems to be the conversation of where it goes from everybody. So that's what the mix of clients are sort of, when it comes up in conversation with us. Because I thought it would be street parties, planned, bunting, blah, 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 giving it all I remember in the 70s. But turns out people are like, no, it's just day off.
I think
people feel too let down, I think, and too snubbed. It's getting even closer. It's going to take something. Well, actually, obviously, I won't tell you on air, but I heard something very interesting from somebody who works in journalism, shall we say, which is bound to be in the news in the next week or so. And watch this space. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I don't know if that will do it. I don't know.
It needs a trigger, doesn't it? It needs something to swap people's attitudes around.
How do we restore faith and joy in us all and make everybody go, woohoo!
Yeah.
The sun's out, we've done this. I think, what's it going to take? Obviously, seeing petrol at 172 every day. Yesterday, 3 times I drove past the garage, and it was higher every time I drove past. The stuff, the energy. I haven't had my £150 council money yet either. Have you? The council tax is supposed to be going as 150 towards the rise in bills.
I understand. I don't know whether I'm going to be punched back into because of my elevated age. I actually don't pay much council tax. But that can be changed.
No, it's coming from the government, I think, isn't it? Through the council. But I don't know what's it all going to take for us all to either go one way or go positive and go the other. But with all the negativity we're fed all the time, and it's going to be like this for the next 2-3 years, and it's going to get worse. Oh my God. God knows where it's going to lead us for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Luckily, thunderstorms last night, but hopefully coming into the summer.
Did they wake you?
I haven't slept a wink. I went last night, actually, just quickly. I went to the Lewis Little Theatre. One of my clients was in a production of Milkhouse Hay Fever. So the three of us from the shop supported it, bought some tickets and went along and saw that last night. But because obviously it was after work and I went and got changed, I had a little can of espresso at the start of the tea time, to keep me awake. So, and then all the thunder driving home through the thunder and the lightning. Did you hear it?
Oh, I did.
The rain. Oh
and the thunder and the lightning was quite spectacular.
It's very, very frightening.
But I came in from Clevedown on the edge of Lewis this morning, and along the way I talked to people, sort of regulars who were doing the same thing. 90% of them said they had no idea that it had rained, let alone thunder and lightning. No idea.
They were all very drunk.
Yeah. Do you think?
Or just.
It
is.
is.
It was like we were sat because we've got bifold doors on our garden. So it just kept lighting up all the time. It was crazy.
Yeah. Actually, not to. We've hit our closing point, but can I say that one of the most spectacular thunderstorms that I ever had was in Africa, and the circumstances are quite amusing, but I won't bother people with them now. But I found myself at this open air party, if you like. It wasn't a party; it was a gathering of people sipping beer, and there was an African thunderstorm, and it was spectacular because the sky was clear. And the thunder clouds were those sort of big puffy things,
yes.
right? And floating along. But the lightning goes from cloud to cloud, not cloud to ground.
Yeah.
And lights up the whole sky.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Not to sound all like hippy dippy, but Mother Nature.
Yeah.
It is amazing though, isn't it? I love a thunderstorm.
Oh, yes.
Because I used to play this like a long thing of that to go to sleep and a bit of mindfulness type thing of a thunderstorm with rain continue. But last night, it was real.
Right, we've run out of time. In fact, have gone over a little bit. Andrew, thank you for coming by, as always. I should say, folks, that we are getting closer and closer to having Andrew do his barber shop instruction program. We just have got to figure out exactly how we do it because we're lacking a few resources, but we're getting activity now that we're getting a few of those resources back. So we're going to look forward to that because not only are you a very nice man, but you also have a great enthusiasm for what you do. And that enthusiasm will carry through so that people will listen to you, and we will have in Lewis the people with the healthiest hair anywhere in the United Kingdom.
Well, as long as the kids wash their hair and brush it, because the amount of kids that come in have really tangled hair or it's dirty. It's unreal. I don't know what's going on. Wash your children's hair, Lewis. My God.
So we've got a crusade. Thank you for being with me, Andrew, and have a good day down at the store. Now, I have to no, I do have to talk to you because we're here. What is Bella exactly? She's a cross.
She's a jug, which means she's a Jack Russell pug cross.
Right.
So she's a pug, but with the Jack Russell gives her longer legs and a longer nose.
Right.
So she doesn't have like the pug, the squashed nose breathing. So she's got the longer nose.
Right.
And she's got the feistiness of a Jack.
So there was an article, an item yesterday, which said that the pugs were, some vets groups were saying that pugs were no longer proper animals, proper dogs. Yeah, did you see that?
I didn't, but which scum said that?
Well, it was in the paper.
Which one?
Was in
Daily Hate Mail?
in the Mail?
Oh,
but I think that it was a look it up, will you? Because
okay.
I did say, I said publicly that my girlfriend, who loves me dearly, and well, she loves my biscuits, and whom I love, and I wouldn't have her any other way. But I think that the point that they were making is that it could be that because of the popularity of the breed, the people are now interbreeding, so they're forcing almost a new type of dog. And I think that I would actually have a question mark over that, where you force a breed.
It's like everything, isn't it? It's, you know, it's like all these, like, oh God, there's so much what they put out there. All people are doing this, people are doing that. I want to say who? Tell me what's a proportionate representation. You tell me how many people. Find me the name then. Oh, everything, isn't it? Well, apparently, blah 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 is happening now. Hatred.
Yeah, you're quite right. I mean, we want to be critical of everything for some reason.
Like, oh my God, you know, it's ridiculous.
Anyway, my lady friend is okay.
She's gorgeous. She's on the sofa. Yeah, she's all curled up, bless her, this morning because she's at home today on a Thursday. Yeah.
Right. Yes, I mean, actually, I would love to come down on the Thursday if she's not going to be there.
It's true. People just come in. Some people just come in and just walk past me. We'll go down to the waiting area and just look. And go, "You okay?
Yeah.
Bella?
Hi, Bella." Okay, we have to go. Andrew, thank you very much for being with us. We will say toodle pip. Say toodle pip. Toodle pip. There we go. And